This is the Panasonic HDC-HS60, which I've had for a number of years now, and I've been very satisfied with it. But there are one or two things which it lacks. Like all cameras with a screen, in bright sunlight it's very difficult to see. And when you're using zoom, it's impossible. It has a 25 times optical zoom, and when you're using the zoom, particularly with wildlife, then it's very difficult to hold the object on the screen. Wildlife whizzing about, it's whizzing about the screen, or even worse, it disappears altogether and it's very difficult to find it again, and some wildlife opportunities are missed as a consequence. So it needs a viewfinder. Against the dark background, you'll see this white smudge in the middle of the screen, and it's been caused by the lens being scratched. How it got scratched I have no idea. You don't normally notice it when there's a light background, but it's pretty obvious there, and sometimes when the sun shining in a particular direction you get flare which almost completely obliterates the scene. And you can see the scratch on the lens there. It doesn't have any threads inside here, so there's no way you can attach a protective filter. The microphones are in the front, and even with the wind noise reduction switched on very windy days, you get a tremendous roaring, to the extent that sometimes the commentary is obliterated. You cannot hear it at all. There's also no shoe for the attachment of any accessories. To have this scratch lens replaced would cost almost as much as the camera itself is worth now. So I've been looking for a replacement camera, and I bought an HDC-HS900, which we can have a look at now. So this is the new Panasonic HDC-HS900, and it has many of the features which the HS60 had. It has a large hard drive, it takes cards of course, but it does have some distinct advantages over the HS60. It has a much larger screen, probably I think almost twice the size of the HS60, but more importantly it has a viewfinder. When you pull the viewfinder out to use it, there's a little dial here, a little knurled dial, which you can turn so that the viewfinder suits your eyes. So if you wear specs, for instance, or don't have perfect eyesight, this little wheel here will sharpen up the image in the viewfinder. So that's what you see down the viewfinder. If I open the screen, That's the same view on the screen. So the viewfinder is a very, very useful addition, particularly if you're using zoom on moving objects. And it's one of the main reasons why I bought the HS900. One of the nice things is it has a thread in here which enables you to fit a filter to protect the lens from being scratched. The filters are relatively cheap, and they take a 46mm filter, and just to protect the lens I have a UV filter which I'll put on. If you're going to use the 3D converter lens, then the filter has to be taken off so that the 3D converter lens will fit on the front of this. But that's a real bonus, being able to protect the lens, because if it gets damaged the cost is prohibitive, well over £100 to have it replaced. So this is the UV filter which I've got to protect the lens from damage. They don't cost very much and save you an awful lot of money. There are other filters you can attach for different reasons, but I just use this one to protect the lens. It also enhances the contrast between clouds and the blue sky, so it does have another effect as well. So I can just carefully screw that onto the front. Make sure I don't get the thing cross-threaded. And I don't want to put it on too tight, otherwise I may not be able to get it off. To overcome the wind noise in the camera, although this does have wind noise reduction, unlike the HS60 behind this little cover here, it has a microphone and earphone connections, so you can attach to it an external microphone. So I've got a little boom microphone here which I hope will, if not prevent wind noise, certainly cut it right down. It does come with a longer cable as well, so you can stand in front of the camera and use this boom microphone at some distance away from it. We'll see how it works on a windy day. The other thing it has under here is a shoe to which you can attach accessories, which the HS60 doesn't have. And you can see that the microphones on this HS900 are on the top. In addition to the lever action for the zoom, on the front of this camera there's a manual ring. And this operates the zoom much more accurately. So I just turn the ring, you'll see the zoom. It's a much finer control. This button, the camera function button, operates when the camera is on manual. If I press this, it brings up a separate screen. Which you can see there. So if I touch manual, then the manual ring on the front acts as a fine focus, which is also a very useful thing to have. So when I turn the manual ring on the front of the camera, instead of acting as zoom, I can focus very accurately on this little object in front of us. So the manual ring in automatic as a fine zoom, and on manual as a fine focus, is an additional feature on the HS900, and it's very, very useful. Much more accurate. It also comes with a remote control, which is intended for indoor use only. Although they suggest that it probably wouldn't work in very, very bright conditions, and it works up to 5 meters away. So you can start and stop the camera and all sorts of things. Something which would need to investigate. Just give it a try from here. So start, stop. Yeah. Stop. Amazing. Press the menu button. There it is. Yeah, works a treat. There's all sorts of playback options on it as well. The only slight downside with the HS900 is that the zoom is only 12 times, as opposed to 35 times on this HS60. But for most purposes, 12 times zoom will be sufficient. It has all the other bells and whistles, which would take me a lifetime to learn. I just run it on automatic. But the quality of the video is outstanding. And of course, it does take the highest quality video. You just take this . 1080/50p, which I understand is the highest quality video. Unlike the HS60, you can only remove the battery by opening the screen, and the battery release button is there, and it comes out, as it were, towards me. There you can see where the cards go, how the card goes, and all the various connections, which are quite clearly labelled. So, all in all, I'm very, very pleased with it. Only time will tell